Today on Beyond the Image, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Facilities Director Gus to talk to us about the behind the scenes of what it takes to keep an imaging center up and running, clean, safe, and maintained. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you'll just start by telling us a little bit about you and your journey to SDMI, your background, what got you to where you're at today.
All right. I'm born and raised in New York. Lived on Long Island my whole life. I mean, out of high school, like most people that graduate in Long Island, you find yourself working in Manhattan at some point. So did sales for quite a few years. During that time, I made my way to Vegas and have some family out here, got my cousins out here, and fell in love with it. And after being out here for, I don't know, probably about 10 years, maybe a little shy of, came across SDMI. I was a handyman at the time, and some of the guys that I had worked alongside with came on board here, and they told me it was awesome, it was great, you know, give it a try. So eventually came on board, and kind of that was the beginning of the end, I guess is the best way to say it. It's been here 10 years now, and yeah, just climbed the ranks and loved every minute of it.
So climb the ranks, you didn't start as facilities director.
Oh no. I was a regular maintenance tech. So I kind of came on board at that ground floor, got promoted to lead after about a year and a half. About another year and a half to 2 years after that, I ended up becoming assistant manager under Frank Hall at the time. And Frank had left and gave me the opportunity to step up into that. And just within this last year, Jerry had made the offer to the director positions.
So tell me about what does your day-to-day look like and what departments fall under facilities, because that's changed recently.
Yes. So the facilities now encompasses EVS, which is our housekeeping and environmental services. It covers the landscaping as well as the maintenance, which is now considered engineering. And on a day-to-day, I mean, it's really just kind of making sure everything's running smooth. We might not be in charge of the actual modalities and the equipment when it comes to MRIs, but we do have to make sure everything on the back end is working. So chillers to keep the MRIs cool, the ACs that run the buildings, as well as all the plumbing and everything, and you know, regarding the waterworks included.
So talk to me a little bit more about these chillers in MRI. What are they and why are they so important to the operation of an organization like this?
All right, so MRIs to me are kind of amazing, just the way they work. MRI stands for magnetic resonance imaging. And to me, it's just an amazing thing because it's a superconductor. So we have liquid helium that keeps that superconductor as cool as possible. So having liquid helium pumping, you know, through the heart of that machine, it's a ridiculously cold temperature. I wish I had it on hand, but it's just an amazing thing. So what we have to do is we have cryogen pumps that actually, you know, that pump that fuel through the actual MRI, and the chillers keep the cryogen pump cool. So
what are some of the other parts of the organization or the buildings that are crucial to being able to see patients and keep things up and running? I know you mentioned air conditioning. What are some of the other things that if they go down?
In general, I mean, there's so much plumbing involved between the bathrooms that are in all the locations. We have laundry services at every location, with the exception of the admin building. But you know, those drains, all that stuff is, yeah, it's tantamount to make sure we keep everything running. We've had water mains break, you know, in the middle of the night, and we've had other issues that happen. So we do, my team of engineers, we are on call. We kind of make sure any emergencies that happen, we try to get ahead of it as fast as possible.
What is one of the most memorable maintenance emergencies that have happened in your time here?
Oh my God, there's so many. Since I'm mentioning the water main break, I'll mention our Shadow Lane location. We had a water main break, and we had, wow, for the lack of sounding like I'm exaggerating, hundreds of thousands, probably close to 1 million gallons, just pumping out from underground. And it was kind of crazy because we shut off the water main at the street, and it's a very rare occurrence, but we actually had 2 water mains supplying that building. So even though we shut one down, we still had all this water still pumping. So we luckily found that secondary supply, and you figure, okay, we're kind of ahead of it. Well, the next thing we know is that the water main and where all this water was actually at one of the transformers on the property. So now we're worried about the electrical issues and all these different issues that could pop up. Luckily, nothing bad happened regarding the electrical, but we did have to basically excavate underneath that transformer to actually replace that whole water line. And another point to be proud of for my team is, so we actually had to do it in-house. Myself and my team got that fixed.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that definitely stands out.
So I know one of the things that sets SDMI apart as an organization is the fact that so much is done in-house that is typically sent to outside organizations, third parties, things like that. So you mentioned laundry, landscaping, all of those things. What are some of the other things that fall under your realm that a company would normally send out that your guys are doing every single day?
Oh, so many things. Like you mentioned, the EVS in-house. I mean, we're talking about linens constantly when it comes to gowns, blankets, towels, rags. All these different things are just taken care of in-house. When it comes to the landscaping, these guys are amazing. Outside of that, when it comes to the engineering department, I mean, it's electrical, it's plumbing, it's framing, it's painting. I mean, texturing. There's so much involved in what we do.
So things like painting and wall repairs, most people would think, you know, you build a building, you get it painted, you get it up and going, it's kind of good to go. What do you really need that much maintenance for? What is happening in these facilities that you've got that much work to do all the time?
I would probably describe it best as when you have gurneys and wheelchairs, they're kind of like bumper cars down a hallway. So yeah, so things get bashed, smashed, scratched, chipped. I mean, just about every corner has to have a corner guard on it. Every hallway we try to do some kind of wall guard or bumpers, because yeah, it's amazing just how much has to get touched. I'd say probably on any given location, we probably do touch up at least once a month, and there's a good chance we're gonna have to do some kind of patching, whether it's behind a door from a door handle, or like I mentioned, from some of the equipment.
So one of the other, I think, unknown things about SDMI are Dr. Steinberg's quarterly walkthroughs.
I mean, what it boils down to is if we're all doing our job and we're all doing our job well, he's gonna do a walkthrough and see amazing buildings.
Tell me why those walkthroughs are important, though. What is he looking for, and what has he conveyed to you that it's important to him that we're looking for and that we're maintaining?
I would have to say, because it's absolutely all about the patient experience. He is absolutely looking to make sure the patient is comfortable, the patient is safe, the patient, feels secure. Everything about his walkthroughs is really about the safety and patient experience. And I mean, I can't even deny it. It's one of those things that every time we do a walkthrough, he makes it very clear. Like, if there's a trip hazard, we're focusing on it. If there's a situation where a door closes too fast, I mean, he looks at every little thing. I mean, as a radiologist, yes, he's there looking at images and everything for people's safety, but he is looking at these buildings with the same scrutiny to make sure they're running correctly and safe. Safe is probably the most important word.
So when we talk about safety, there's the trip hazards, the maintenance, those things. But let's talk about cleanliness. We have had many a patient compliment the cleanliness of the facilities. In fact, recently a patient just offered to hire one of our EVS people as their personal house cleaner. So talk to me about what goes into keeping the facilities clean from a safety standpoint.
It is amazing just how involved they get. I mean, it goes from, biohazard spills, which could range, from blood to just about anything else. It's also a situation where, if we have issues with a toilet or anything, they're there, they're on the spot. But on an everyday cleaning, they do deep cleaning, they dust, it's amazing. So what the other things that the EVS side of it, to make sure these buildings look and feel clean, they have a whole group or a whole team of people that actually work on flooring. So they'll strip a floor, clean the floor, re-wax a floor, and then buff it and basically make it shine. They're really an amazing team in keeping everything looking as new as possible. I mean, we have buildings that are 20 plus years old, and people ask us if we've been open, within the last 2 or 3 years. definitely a big compliment.
There are buildings that have only been open for a short amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
Are you involved in the process of a new facility opening?
Oh, very much so. I've got a laundry list. I believe I've made the joke on my list of 123 things. So it's the 1, 2, 3 of opening a building. And it's amazing how much is involved when it comes to the contractors. One of the jokes I like to make when we're actually opening a new building is I'm the guy that makes sure that, you know, the electricians and the plumbers and even the construction company that's involved, I'm making sure we all play nice in the sandbox. We know that Dr. David has a very high standard of what he wants and how he wants it. We just follow that standard and it seems to work.
What are some of the nuances that go into constructing a building? Are we just talking, we build a house, we put up a foundation and some 2x4s and some doors and some windows, or I'm assuming there's a little more to it when you're building an imaging facility?
Quite a bit more. There's a lot more planning involved. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. I mean, I've worked in construction my whole life, so for me it might be a little commonplace, but if I really wanted to kind of take it back a little bit, it's amazing just how much is involved. Just before you even lay a foundation, you have to have underground plumbing planned, you have to have underground electrical planned, you have to underground data that's going to be coming in, whether it's fiber optic. All that has to be planned literally before you break ground or pour a pad. I mean, everything has to know exactly, you need to know exactly where everything is. It really is an amazing process, and I have to say, I'm never bored with it. Every time we open a new building, it's exciting, it's amazing, and yeah, it's a thrill.
So the MRI machines,
Yeah.
those are a unique beast.
Oh yeah.
Explain to people who maybe don't understand what goes into a room that houses an MRI.
All right, so MRIs are very finicky. I'll say it that way. The way they work, you can't have any radio frequencies or any what we consider noise. That noise will cause artifacts, which will give us a bad read or a bad scan or a bad quality of picture. So when we have stuff like that make it into a room, we do everything we can to kind of stop that RF frequency. So rooms have quite a few things involved for MRIs. We have to make sure it's RF shielded. We have to make sure it's magnetically shielded because it is a huge magnet. Again, it's a superconductor running this magnet. And the magnets, probably the best way to explain it is you have a 1.5 or a 3T. The T stands for Tesla, and it's basically the strength of that magnet. So you have to pretty much keep all that contained. We have to make sure it's got the RF shielding to make sure we're not going to have bad image quality. All that goes into play, and one of the other things with the room, as we're building it, it has to be ungrounded. It cannot be grounded to the building. It has to be what's considered a floating room, and there's a lot involved with that. A simple screw that's dropped or a screw that goes into the wall the wrong way can ground a room, and now we have to spend hours, if not days, trying to find that grounding. So yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff involved, but it is kind of amazing. In the big picture, it's just this huge, shielded, closed-off room. Some of the rooms we actually have about 3/4 inch thick steel completely encompassing the room. So if the apocalypse goes down, I know where I'm going.
Nice. Talk to me a little bit about your collaboration from your departments with other departments within the organization. You're kind of involved in, everybody's area. You're in the MRI people's area. You're in the front office area. What does that collaboration look like?
Well, one of the things that the company does is we have directors meetings, we have operations meetings, we have different meetings to make sure that we are kind of working together and flowing together. As a team, we want to make sure we're always available for every department out there, and the office managers, as well as the other directors, as well as the other chiefs and the executives. We just always want to make sure we have a way for them to constantly get a direct line to us. So we do on call, we do have phones that are pretty much always at our hip that we're going to make sure we answer. So we try to just make ourselves available is probably the best way for us to stay in tune with what needs to happen.
What is your biggest challenge in your department, in your position?
Being on camera. No, just kidding. Biggest.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to have to say that this is probably something that's common across the board. It's finding the right people. Getting the right people that have the right mindset, that have the right work ethic, that have the same vision or the same mission that we're trying to accomplish, which is be there for the customers and just do the job the best you can. It's finding those employees that can come on board and work with us the right way.
So somebody that potentially wants to move into the healthcare landscape from a maintenance perspective, I think it's a little bit of an unknown job position that's out there. What advice would you have for somebody that is looking to move into that?
Just apply. I mean, really what it boils down to is Steinberg, or SDMI, has so many different facets of what we offer, whether it's the call center, whether it's with EVS, whether it's in the engineering department. There's so many different things that, I mean, if you're bilingual, I mean, the call center could gladly, I mean, and even the front desk, there's just so many opportunities within the company that anybody who's interested, is just come in, talk to somebody, and apply.
What do you think makes SDMI special?
I'm going to say the people. I know that's a candid answer, but I have to say Dr. David, the environment that he's created within this company and he's pushed for, it's diverse. It really is just an amazing place to work. I feel safe when I come to work. I feel comfortable when I come to work. I know the people that if I have questions, I have no hesitation to reach out to just about anyone, knowing that we're all going to help each other get in the right direction. It really is just a family. We're all trying to accomplish the same thing. We got the same, we got the same view of the future of what's needed.
What is the future of SDMI?
Probably more locations, but I know as far as the doctors are concerned, it's really just helping save lives, and it's really nice to be a part of that.
So you guys are in the facilities. You're in the facility. Do you have a lot of patient interaction?
Definitely not as much as some of the departments, but everybody's going to come across a patient, whether it's walking through the hallway. I know we've had situations where we've had patients just in the parking lot and they feel stranded because their battery died. I mean, something so simple to be able to go there and help them jump it, whether it's a jumper box or just rolling over and just using jumper cables. We've had, we deal with probably more of the outside interaction, where, we'll help them call AAA or whatever they got to do. But even the simple things like that are so important for patients and anyone to just feel like they're not alone. They've got help. There's people out there. I recall closing when I first started. I was actually doing the afternoons, and one of the things that I felt was important was when we were walking that last patient out, I never wanted to just lock a door behind them. I didn't want them to feel like if their car didn't start or if there was an issue, or even if they just didn't feel safe walking to their car. I wanted to make sure they know that we're there until they roll off the parking lot. And it was just one of those things that I felt was really important because, again, it's something that I think Dr. David and the company in and of itself really wants to instill in us, is make everybody feel comfortable, make everybody feel safe.
So you said you've jump-started cars before. What other above and beyond situations have happened to help patients? People think they come here and we're just going to do their x-ray, do their MRI, and kind of scoot them out the door.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're doing a lot more than that.
Absolutely. We've changed tires. We've helped top off radiators. There's another one that might just get me in trouble. We had a woman that I'll never forget this one. This was an amazing situation. We had a woman that I get a call, and they're saying she's really being loud, she's really being belligerent. And I'm like, okay. So I come walking up front to see what's going on. She was a German woman, loud voice, but she was also deaf, which is one of the reasons why she spoke the way she did and how loud she was. So even though she sounded as angry as someone could sound, she really was a sweetheart. And the poor woman was so nervous about everything that even after we did her, I forget what she was here for, and I really shouldn't talk on it anyway, but I know after her appointment and everything, she was so nervous. And again, this is going to probably get me in trouble. Myself and one of my fellow employees, we actually drove her home, and then they picked me up from her house to make sure she was home safe and everything was okay. And she clearly was, really appreciative, but I know that's one of those going above and beyond that I probably shouldn't have done, but I think she really did appreciate it. But we've done stuff like that. Like I said, changing a tire, it's not hard for us to do, but it's something that they probably couldn't have done on their own or without having to call for some kind of help.
So clearly those kinds of things are not part of your job description.
Oh no, that's definitely not on the job description. But I definitely know it's part of what is expected. It's part of what I know they would allow us to do the right thing for our patients.
And how do you instill that in your team? That those are the things that are
Yelling
kind of the
loudly.
unwritten rule.
No. Now, my guy, I really do have a great team of guys. They really do care about what we do. They care about people in general, and it's to really get anyone to step up like that is really. I'm going to use my favorite quote, and it's the term that I try and live by. I just try to say, let's just be the example. You know, if we could be the example, you're doing all right.
Tell me, what is the biggest impact SDMI has had on you personally?
For me personally, the biggest impact is I don't think I ever even considered the idea of retirement. But with Steinberg, I found myself in a situation where I really was able to focus on being here as a career, and it absolutely helped me get there. I mean, I bought my house while I was with SDMI. I've been able to accomplish quite a few things, and yeah, I definitely feel that working with SDMI has given me the confidence and the ability to plan on a future and plan on retirement. And I'm hoping to retire fairly young so that I actually get to travel. So thank you.
So we've talked a lot about different experiences, different things that you've encountered over your career. But what is the one thing that stands out as most memorable experience, most memorable patient?
Wow, like I said, there's so many. God, I might have to think about that for a moment, because
What's the one that really means the most to you, that really makes you get up and say, this is why I want to make a career out of this organization?
It's got to be just in general. It's got to be more of a generality. All the different patients that I've gotten to meet, all the amazing people that I get to work with is really kind of amazing. But Dr. David is kind of a force of nature. You get to meet the guy, and you'd never know that he's I feel as important as he is. He's so magnanimous. He's just such a great person. But the interactions I have with him, he's helped me realize, I might not be a doctor like he is, but he definitely helps me understand that what I do is important and what we do is important. So I'd have to say my interaction with Dr. David, and I'm not really trying to butter him up, so if he's watching this, I'm really not trying to do that. But but no, I really take pride in what I do, and a lot of it has to do with him being part of it. And I have to thank Jerry Hartman. He gives me and my teams the ability to do what needs to get done.
What advice would you give to patients?
Oh, that's a tough one. The advice to patients is count to 10, relax. Hopefully the doctors can find what needs to be found, and the sooner the better. That's probably the biggest thing I can say to patients is don't wait. Don't wait. I mean, when it comes to your health, finding out sooner is always better.
Okay, so I've got one question that I like to end all conversations with.
Let me prepare myself.
Be prepared, it's a tough one. So, what would your younger self be most proud of you for, or most surprised by?
That is a good question. I'm going to say my youngest self is going to be proud that I've actually gotten to a point where I can actually focus on retirement. Because when I was younger, I thought, I'll be lucky if I make it to 50. So yeah, my younger self was definitely a little wild. So I think he would just be surprised that I've made it this far, and I would like to say, hopefully doing this well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks for catching up.
Awesome.